So take a peek, guys. This is Fruitarian Farmer or Joshua Burney's land, family land, and it is gorgeous out here. So right over here, this is like a rice paddy watering kind of irrigation system that I think the government built, but it allows such a nice condition for living and for planting. So he has like various fruit trees. They've built houses like 20 years ago. But yeah, come with me on a little walk here as we talk about the state of the Philippines and really the state of the world, especially when it comes to, like regenerative agriculture and also just our ideas of poverty, richness, whatever. I think that's a tangerine. Maybe not. That's a big rambutan. And most of these trees are, I think, only 5 years old. That's a marang, which is like a little, it looks like breadfruit almost. But on the inside, it's like more kind of like a jackfruit. But it's like a creamy white kind of thing. Probably a lot more fruits that I don't know about that I'm walking past here. But yeah, it is absolutely beautiful here, guys. And I'm gonna walk over to Joshua's little hut where he's staying. It is so peaceful out here, and look at that view too. But as far as I can tell, there's a lot of land here, and really, it could support a lot of people who want to do something special in the Philippines. And again, this is Negro Occidental. It's very close to Sagay City. And funny enough, the town name here is Divinia Colonia, Divine Colony. So perhaps there is some fate or prophecy in a divine colony to do some kind of a Garden of Eden project. So just gonna heal up my wounds and stay a little bit longer here. And then I'm on my way to Palawan before I have to return to Saipan, in which I will talk to this guy in Palawan who has like 400 or 500 hectares, knows about Anastasia, wants to do some kind of a project. So we'll see what he has to say. Yeah, it's crazy because when you walk to this land, there's a lot of balancing act that needs to be done. Very poetic. It's like you have to be a samurai in order to be comfortable with this environment over here. Just dodging some thorns right now. I believe that's also what he's planting. I could be wrong, but we planted a bunch of durian seeds, and I think we'll also plant some rambutan and some other things over here. But I mean, as we're walking through, this side looks like jackfruit. Like there's fruits everywhere, guys, that he's starting to plant because also, I won't specifically mention who, but one of Joshua's very close relatives is not the healthiest and has tough time walking. So this is also in preparation for the sick, not only in his family, but everyone, Everyone in this village can benefit from a more fruit, oh, there's the little spot, more fruit, plentiful, abundant land. And that's the other thing is I think this family was planting a lot of rice, but the more awake people in Joshua's family, like his brother and he himself and others, realized that it's really fruit that's going to be helping us more so than the rice, which was just a method for the colonizations or the colonizers to be able to control us with the need for grains and the need for money. So I'm going to take a little seat here and talk to you guys. We planted some durian down there yesterday. But yeah, so what I see in the Philippines is a backwards. I mean, again, I see this everywhere in the world. I see this definitely in Saipan as well. It's a backwards priority system where we care more about money than love. We care more about money than relationships. We care more about money than planting, than continuing the operations of this Edenology movement. So we'd rather spend the money on like cheap things like plastic. Like it's a lot cheaper to trash the earth, it seems, than to preserve it. So with every purchase, we're always using plastic bags. And again, I'm not free from these things, because I am this soul journeying through this world. Sometimes I have to purchase some things with plastic bags, Sometimes I have to do things that pollute the earth, ride on motorcycles and all these things, because as of now, there's no better option. I mean, I do a lot of walking to the point where I really surprise people. Like, people are like, it's like 3 kilometers away, the bus station. You're really going to walk? Like, some taxi drivers or tricycle drivers ask me, and I say, yeah, I want to see the city. Maybe if this is my second or third time, I would just take the cab. But yeah, save your gas and ride someone else who needs the ride, or give someone else a ride, right? Another thing is like cleaning, right? Like, it just breaks my heart when I see people washing with like soap and all these chemicals in a nice like river. Because it's like, why not just use citrus or something less corrosive to the environment, like maybe perhaps baking soda? I don't know how good or bad baking soda is when it comes to plants, but there's so many options and ways around it, but it seems that we're very easy to participate in the degenerate habits of the world. So yeah, that made me really sad when I was visiting this very beautiful waterfall in Tausavan, very near Kitapawan city, maybe 30 minutes from it. And while I was collecting all these different kinds of seeds, because Kitapawan is like full of fruits, even though it's not really the main season yet. But yeah, it would just break my heart seeing how people have just this general disregard. And it's so easy to look after nature. It's so easy to live with nature. Yet we're so used to this degenerative capacity of living in difficulty and disease. Which is the other thing. It's like when I tell people, whether it's in the Philippines or anywhere else in the world, that it's so easy to heal. It's so easy to regenerate. It's just raw fruit and things get like whole foods given to nature. People often have a tough time believing that. Obviously, there's a cultural element that they've been conditioned and taught otherwise, that meat is important and that you need rice with every meal and all these kinds of things, but it's not true. And just basic common sense will show you that this is not true. That, again, what's more conducive to a paradise-like living? Constantly rice farming, just like Joshua's trying to change over here, and plant more fruit trees. What's more fulfilling and what makes more sense? Rice farming, paddy fields, and constantly working year after year for this grain that's so difficult to even ingest without the help of machines, or like with the help of processing and all this, or fruit trees that every time you eat a fruit, you have a seed that you can plant. There's almost too much seeds. You don't know what to do with all of them. And the tree just keeps growing more and more, so you don't have to keep replanting the seed unless you're doing something like pineapple. So the amount of labor that you really have to do, I guess, kind of goes down, right? Because you just plant the thing and then you wait for the fruits to come. Especially in a tropical environment, folks. It's crazy how much conditioning can exist even for those that live in paradise. And so again, I see this chase of so-called wealth and richness, which is really poverty. And the people that run from poverty oftentimes are running from abundance and richness, and the province land that has everything that they would ever need and has all the happiness and the joy that they could receive. Just like me spending some time with the family and the relatives in proximity here, it's just so fun. It's so fun, sharing time with people like my age, some a little older, some a little younger. And of course, there's some adults here as well, but it's like a fairy tale or a folk tale almost. Just living simple next to a river and enjoying fruit. And yeah, we do some cooking here and there. And some of these people want to eat their ramen and their processed seasonings and all this. But the majority of the time, just living in simplicity and quietness and enjoying each other's company and happiness, because that's really all that matters at the end of the day. And I think I feel this increasing sense of loneliness with me and the world when we're so caught up in this fast-paced, fast world where we think we need to be partying every night and working to death every day. And, it's really not about that, I think. I think you learn a lot more about yourself and the world when you're in a quiet place next to a river, in the mountains, in nature, listening to the birds, listening to the beetles, listening to the cicadas. And I just want to add there that I think it's a cicada, it's some kind of a animal. My favorite sound in the Philippines by far. It almost sounds like a synthetic noise. But yeah, I wish I could tell you what it was, but maybe you'll hear when you're in the Philippines. But when it's really hot, I think they are louder, perhaps. But even one time when I, really injured my heel, and I was just leaning against the coconut tree on the top of that Santa Maria province land that my friend Jay was showing me. Uh, yeah, it's that sound right there. I think it's a cicada. But anyhow, that was ringing in the background, and I'm just like listening to it, and I can just feel nature speaking with me or holding me just with that sound. Anyhow, yeah, that's one element to it. So, yeah, I got a little bit into the cleaning and how there's like abundance everywhere and a condition for life everywhere. But, towards the city, the rivers are trashed, they're full of chemicals, there's plastic bags and wrappers everywhere. And again, it's just so cheap to live in trash. It's so cheap and fast to live in trash, but it's so slow, and it's not even expensive, but it's like more, you have to go more out of your way to do the right thing. But it all comes back. Like, even though, let's say if you wanted to cook and you make a real fire rather than using a butane gas tank or whatever, um, just looking at the fire dance, looking at the fire be, and the whole extra time and care and effort that's put into this alchemy, I think it's much more meaningful, and the words you share as you're cooking together. And even the whole idea of like being hungry for a little bit longer, I think adds a sense to that magic of eating later, instead of this instant meal, this instant life that most of us are pursuing. But yeah, so when I was meeting some people, a bunch of cool people at the mud springs over at Lake Ako, I was saying to some people, like, people think foreigners are quote unquote rich, and that foreigners are perhaps, happier and because they're more sophisticated and they have, better cars, better tools, and they pay more tax and all this, that they're living better. But no, when it comes to the Philippines, it's the children who have nothing, just playing in the mud and playing on top of the trash. They're the happiest because they haven't been told like, oh, you need to go work this job, or you need to go eat this kind of food, or oh, you need to learn these kinds of things. So in the absence of their conditioning, they're just happy playing present in the moment. And that's what I see in Joshua, Bernie here. That's what I see in the fruitarian farmer. That's what I see in anyone who knows what I'm talking about and feels this so deeply, is they have a deep childlike happiness to them in the simple things. And they don't need to go look at TV shows or movies, or actually sometimes they do watch movies here, but or perhaps it was for me, but they don't have to do these meaningless things because they have a simple pleasure and a simple joy to life. And that to me, again, is real richness, is real abundance. Like even Joshua's father, he's probably not even like vegan or vegetarian, but the amount of joy I feel from his being and his existence, that's much stronger, that's much more effective and impactful to other spiritual beings, much more welcoming and much more loving, because those are the things that really matter, and those are the things that are gonna stick with us, I think, even after we so-called die or stick with the earth or whatever. The energy that we put out and the energy that eventually comes back. I think those are the things that matter. Those are the things that I want to live for. The simple, loving exchanges, free from stress, free from this pressure of fear of missing out, free from all of this. Let's see if I can remember any other points. Maybe I'll check my notes real quick. One sec. Okay, so makeup, healing, the body healing itself, and compost. Those are some of the things I wanted to talk about. Makeup, healing, and compost. So, makeup, right? We're so concerned with the surface level beauty and to make people think that it's almost like a trick, right? To make people think that we're beautiful on the edge, but inside we're ugly. You know, on the edge, we control the narrative, we mischaracterize, we try to take things out of context, and we try to look good in the eyes of others and the quick judgments of others. But deep down, we're ugly. Deep down, we're very, how do you say? Yeah, impoverished, poor. We have nothing to give to others except for the surface level makeup or money. So what do we really have deep down, right? I challenge you, even those that think that I am your enemy, I'm not your enemy. I'm just challenging you as you could say big brother, as a spiritual, perhaps elder. Obviously I'm very young and I still have a lot of things to learn. However, again, I challenge you as a human being. What's more important, the surface level of pleasing everyone and making everyone seem like you're a good guy or a good girl, or putting on makeup to look attractive in a very short period of time, like putting on different faces for different people and playing the victim at times, and other times, you're not the victim and you're actually persecuting others? What's more important, really? I think what's more important is a deep down beauty, a deep down real sense of humanity. And funny enough, if you don't put on all this makeup and if you don't just eat what is surface level, superficially tasty. Oh, I love how the sun's coming out now. It's been pretty cloudy here for a long time. But why don't you shine the light on the things that are hidden, that you hide from others? And perhaps when you shine the light there, all the molds and the parasites and the trash that you've been accumulating will have a chance to escape. We'll have a chance to get out. We'll have a chance to be dealt with. But we're so concerned with an immediate solution that is no solution at all. Just like whether it's pharmaceuticals, it's the same thing as makeup. It's an easy cover-up, or pesticides, or fertilizers. We don't like to go to the root of the problem. We don't like to go to the root of this ugliness. We would rather just paint a pretty picture over what is ugly. But again, that picture is an illusion. That picture is a delusion. That picture is a momentary, unlasting hope. And I'm done with hope. Let's move. Let's be. Let's act. Let's do the things. This is a great transition to compost. But just like seeds, let's collect the things that matter. Let's stop crapping in toilets and actually eat better and crap and regenerate the soil with our poop. Imagine if 365 days a day, 365 days a year, you are pooping in your own land. How many trees would come from that? How much the ground would benefit from that? How much the microorganisms would love that and be able to exchange the information, whether it's your sickness or just your biological information that the ground could benefit from and benefit you in return. So compost, right? Why do we look at while I was at Kittapan City, we would put compost with other trash So there would be like other plastic bags and other wrappers and all this and tissue or whatever the fuck it is, right? And we would put mango and, skins and durian skin, and it's just making my head hurt because this is organic gold that we can be using for the ground. It should return to nature where it once came from. But no, we look at this organic gold as just some rotting, smelly trash that no one can use, and it's just so backwards. Everywhere in the world, not just Philippines, but Philippines, I think it's so close to my heart because it's so beautiful here. It's like an island, so it's kind of isolated at the same time. The women are absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of handsome men too for you girls out there. It's just such a beautiful land, but such a painstaking dis-ease. There's such a painstaking poverty of the mind that is infected everyone here. And just like that, it could stop. Just like that, everyone could reverse this and return to province life. Stop chasing that just the money, and actually look for those meaningful relationships with the land and with others. I think so many people would be happier just staying in their province land, planting a garden for their future family members, but also their village at large, right? Or even for the whole Philippines at large. They'd be much more fulfilled if they realized what they already had and didn't look at what they had as just a poor background and going to chase some pursuit of happiness, American dream, some makeup land, some Disneyland, where really they're just going to be on their phones and working some job they don't like, dealing with people they don't like, and everyone's forcing themselves to be people they're not, and they're not going to be happy. What's the point of all that? There is no point to all that. And I think the reverse to that is just enjoying fruit and saving all the seeds, exchanging all the seeds. Imagine if everyone saved every single seed we ate from fruit, and the people that didn't have a certain kind of durian could, send the seeds to someone who, did have or opposite way around, someone who did has a certain kind of durian could send the seeds to someone who doesn't have the durian, and people who don't have marang can get the marang. People who don't have the rambutan can get the rambutan, and we saved all the seeds, so we just keep planting more. It's an exponential equation. Unlike rice or other vegetables, even pineapple, every year you have to plant it again, and it's a lot of labor and a lot of work. So why don't we work less and play more? Why don't we get depressed less and actually fulfill ourselves with real meaningful things, simple things? And healing. That's another huge revelation I had. I'm injured, everyone's looking after me, that's great. But again, it's like a superficial thing, right? They want an immediate solution, so antibiotics, all this, whatever it is. Here, let me show you my injury. It's pretty bad, right? But already it's healing up like crazy, and it's much less painful. I don't know if I should show that for long because it's kind of graphic. But I trust my body. Like this injury, for instance, was much larger, and now it's sewing itself back up, and at the same time it's releasing different kinds of pusses and different kinds of inflammatory fluids that my body doesn't need. So probably it was a great opportunity for my body to release any kind of trash that was around there now that I opened the wound. So again, a lot of times pain is a good thing. A lot of times injury is necessary. Just like sickness. Without sickness, we would die. We would be so unhealthy. All the trash would just stay in our bodies. So sometimes you need to get wounds. Sometimes you need to get sick. Sometimes you need to get hurt. Because only then will you mature as a human being. Only then will you give your body a chance to heal itself. And this is what so many people cannot understand is if my cut is not so big to the point where I cannot operate normally, I'm not going to go get it sewn. I trust my body, I trust myself, I trust God, and I trust nature. So I'm going to squeeze different kinds of plants into this wound. I'm going to use certain kind of herbs. I'm going to eat more raw foods. I'm going to eat more whole foods. That's what I'm going to do. Because I don't need a hospital. I don't need a doctor who's learned some curriculum that he's been indoctrinated through all his life. Again, sewing is fine, right? Especially if it's any bigger than this. I think I was right on the middle of go to the hospital or don't go to the hospital. But I trust nature, trust yourself. Trust the universe. You are the universe. So why do you have to go trust some indoctrinated textbook that the Rockefellers invented? Why do you have to trust some Rockefeller, Rothschild, Cabal, Intertel, Robert Vesco, under the Getty vampire system for your money, for your wealth, for all of these things. And it's so crazy how we're fighting over these things, right? How they get us to fight over these stupid things when really we should just be making action for bringing the Garden of Eden closer. We should be making action to actually make sure these children are safe under the ground. But no, we rather focus on other people's drama, other people's rumors, other people's gossip. We'd rather focus on this reliance and this dependence on poor foods and poor systems of health. We won't sit with and be with ourselves and who we are and who our bodies are and what this universe is, what this place is. So perhaps think on that just like the land of Philippines, I'm seeing in the land of Philippines, abundance is everywhere, richness is everywhere, and it's just waiting for us to expand it. But there's a impoverished mind, there's an unhealthy, sick mind that is seeking and looking for a fast-paced world that they think will fulfill them, but really it's just emptying them more and more. So when I come here and see Joshua and see this land and see all of this, it just reaffirms my suspicions that really the people that are happy are the spiritual people. The spiritual leaders are the ones that realize it's not about material things, unless it's fruit trees. It's not about money. It's not about all these things. It's about the world that we're going to get to behind it all. Right? It's about the grass. It's about the birds. It's about the cows. It's about the animals. It's about the dogs and cats. It's about the fruit. It's about the bananas. It's about the rambutan. It's about the durian. It's about the mangoes. It's about these things that actually nourish, hydrate, oxygenate, the air, the clouds, the sun. These things are what matters, not this piece of paper that these vampires living underground, raping and pillaging and murdering our children, have decided, value on and are lending fractionally to no end. Come on, guys. Just like Crowfoot said, the most important thing is land and the relationships that are created on that land. So just like I'm doing in Saipan and Rhoda, again, it's very hard to, or not hard, it's impossible for a non-native to buy land in Saipan or Rhoda. So for me, what I've done is now I'm establishing relationships. And with the money people have been donating to me, now I'm gathering seeds and building structures and different things where we can live and be comfortable and, again, focus on the things that do matter. So instead of trying to become a Rockefeller and use money and invest in all these different things and, not be fulfilled and die as a sad old man or a woman, why don't we go out and make the relationship with nature that's necessary, make the relationship with others that are necessary, stop living a make-up life? Why don't we go to the root of the problem, solve the root issue, and not have to deal with it constantly later on? I think someone on some video was saying it's expensive to buy food, like to buy good food, or to invest in a lifestyle that will be sustainable, but it's actually more expensive if you don't. Later on down the line, when you're on a bed, sad, lonely, depressed, sick, no real relationships, no real people around you, that's really sad. All these all you have is these online friends that are keyboard warriors that are doing nothing with their lives. They're not helping actually anything, whether it comes to Trump or Q. They're not actually doing and amounting to anything. They just live in hope and wait for a precarious salvation. No, that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is go out, plant the seeds, save these children, and do it ourselves. It doesn't matter all the flies and gnats that circle us, because deep down, even they know. They are triggered because they know that the actual spiritual people that just don't talk about spirituality and virtue and all this bullshit ideas, they're moving in real action, in originality, in authenticity, in a natural state of being. And that natural state of being is the only way we're going to get this crap out of this universe. The only way we're going to go from point A to point B, point A being a degenerative, sad life where nothing of value is being done, to point B, heaven on earth, paradise on earth, kin's domains everywhere. So that's kind of what I've been seeing in the Philippines. as I have come to this rural countryside and I'm enjoying the peace, serenity, and quietness and the simple exchanges of happiness between people and relationships. As I heal my wounds and as I realize that, again, it's so much more fulfilling to give back to nature, whether it's the waste, whether it's the seed, to have a reciprocal relationship. As I realize more so and more so that, again, land with people that you care about and that care about you is the only thing that's left to do. Rainwater collection, perhaps energy if you need it. Eventually, you probably don't even need these phones or any energy because you're going to be too fulfilled and busy doing other things, unless obviously you're trying to propagate a message. What really matters, folks? And are you going to be happy constantly giving people excuses like, you know, it may be easy for you to say, but my life's different. I'm different. It's harder for me. It's more difficult for me. It's impossible for me to be a regenerative being. I have to keep degenerating. It's easy for you to regenerate, but it's difficult for me. Not true. The easiest thing for us is to approach Eden with open arms, with an open heart. The easiest thing is for us to be natural. Being unnatural is difficult, but we're so conditioned to think that the unnatural path, the disease path, the dis-ease path is what's easy and what's cheap. So stop living a cheap, superficial makeup life and do something worthwhile, do something useful. Actually help us usher Eden onto this world. And don't just talk and type. It's very sad if that's all you're doing. Love you guys. A tough message for those who are ready. Return to Eden where you once came from.